say, in 4 hours or 8 hours of conversation.
And this is something that I see as a developer myself. I see this happening, and this might be of some insight to help other developers that are out there that are in the web space doing web development, doing ERP, doing maintenance, SaaS app development or whatnot. You have all of these vibe coding apps that companies will startups will start with, say, hey, I need to speak, tell the app what I want, and now it's done. Now I have an MVP to run. But now when it comes to updates and it comes to maintenance and whatnot, now all of a sudden it goes to, uh, I want to use nice terms here. It kind of trashes the application because now you have cross version sections that are used in the back end that, AI is looking at, which in their operation are great. But the deal is now, you're moving from PHP 8.2 to 8.3, using the latest and the greatest from the last 20,000 instructions that it got. So I guess I'll say that to say people that are jumping into vibe coding to sell something and then it's not expandable. What's the importance of learning the prompting and having the strategic engineering there with them? Is it just that, at first it's like I need a developer to do it all for me, but now I can save on this cost. I can vibe code it out. But now you need a developer and an engineer to make sure that it stays the same and everything. Speak more on the importance of that and how that's a part of a DeepMind.
Yeah, DeepMind has multiple configurations. So depending on who's in the table and what are they asking. So let's say, for example, you're the attendee of the DeepMind conversation and you're asking about vibe coding. So if you think about it from the three different perspective, is it interoperable? Is it scalable? And is it sustainable? So I don't know if I mentioned this to you last time, but it's called the KISS framework. So keep it stupid simple. But now we're talking about keep it interoperable, scalable, and sustainable, right? The KISS
Yes.
framework for AI. Vibe coding is interoperable, and also it's possible to scale it because you mentioned, you want to do version iterations, correct? So it's possibly is a scalable, but it's not sustainable in most cases because of the framework that was put in to the interoperability and scalability, right? Because easy to understand interoperability, scalability, but problem is sustainability. Sustainability could be your maintenance problem, your people problem, your process problem, or like you said, the new version of technology, right? But the worst one is the cybersecurity attack, right? So if somebody was to take it over because you left an API key out into the GitHub, there's no coming back from that anytime soon, right?
Right.
And it's going to happen because you gave your baby to somebody else and now they put the API key out into GitHub. Not your fault, but again, it's your people problem, just like you have a process problem. So the sort of vibe coding is a great promise, but let me reverse that into the developer world. A lot of the developers are kind of self-doubting the fact that software engineers and all these other people are going to lose their job. No, they won't. No, they won't.
Right.
You're not a developer anymore. You're a troubleshooting guy. You're a mechanic that's going to fix the maintenance speed. So, just to give you an example, in IT space, we call it DevOps. That's where the KISS comes from, right? So, in the MLOps in the MLOps space, it is the KISS, like that keep it interoperable, scalable, and sustainable. Means that if you have to sustain it, what happens after you deploy it? How do you maintain and how do you trigger the actions that you need that you didn't need in an IT system that was based on DevOps, right? DevOps is pushing a lot of codes. Pushing a lot of codes means that you hit the ceiling continuously, right?
Mm-hmm.
With the MLOps, that system doesn't hit the ceiling, it starts drifting because it breaks through the ceilings, but it doesn't know what direction to go in. So
Right.
yes, you can have a misalignment of 2 degrees. By the time you reach the moon, you realize that I'm far from the moon. Actually, I'm going to head into the Mars because that 2 degrees catches up to you eventually, right?
Right.
So
Right. Right.
MLOps space is not as simple as IT ops or your DevOps, right? Because if you know about MLOps, one thing you're going to realize is that you have no idea how bad data ops goes.
Right. Right.
Right? And and then your AI ops is even further off, and your LLM ops is not helping either. LLM ops means your things that you download into your laptop as your chatbot, right? So you have a whole lot of complication in vibe coding, but once you hear these terminologies, how many layers that goes into vibe coding, all of a sudden you say, well, let me fix my people process first, so that way I can do vibe coding, because you have to vibe code. And this is the possibility that the developers are not seeing, which is that the software engineers that are being threatened by not having job today, they really have to start thinking about the end users that will become the end developers.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to say that again, because the end users that are end developers means that they will code their way out of the workflow that they are manually working on today. But a system engineer, like a software engineer, has to be present for to orchestrate all these things that our end developers are creating. Because the end developers are not going to secure those systems. A system engineer has to secure the system. Since
Absolutely.
system engineer has to maintain and trigger those systems using observability tools, Splunk,
Mm-hmm.
many other tools that are paid by the enterprise that are not going anywhere, right? So
Mm-hmm.
there's software engineers that is going to be in a higher demand than what they are today. And I say that with high confidence that we only have 1% of the software engineers that we need today. We need 99% more. And 2036 will be full of software engineers, no matter if they're end developers or they're just system supporters.
You know, we're coming up with an enterprise product to help us scale. So now that doing the 10x, the 100x or whatever, is something that happens while being sustainable. Scalable and sustainable. Interoperability. Keep the interoperability, the scalability, and the sustainability. Right. A new KISS method and whatnot. So there shouldn't be much of a worry out there. There's just new opportunity, a ton of new opportunity out there.